Hi, welcome everyone. Today I proudly present you the new BSN DID service, which you can check on our international portal, bsnbase.io. My name is Chris Wong. I'm the Senior Solution Architect at Red Day Technology. Red Day Technology is one of the founding members of the blockchain-based service network, as known as BSN. If you have any question about the video, BSN DID service, or any other topic related to the BSN, please contact me via LinkedIn. You can reach me via the LinkedIn URL that's shown, or scan the QR code on screen to my LinkedIn profile page. What's in this video? This video contains 4 sections. What's DID? BSN DID service. Demonstration with reference material. Let's go through them one by one. What is DID? According to World Wide Web Consortium, in short W3C, decentralized identifiers, aka DIDs, are a new type of identifier that enables verifiable, decentralized digital identity. A DID refers to any subject, for example, a person, organization, thing, data model, abstract entity, etc., as determined by the controller of the DID. In contrast to typical, federated identifiers, DIDs have been designed so that they may be decoupled from decentralized registries, identity providers, and certificate authorities. In short, you can treat DID as an decentralized identifier stored on the blockchain. With blockchain technology as the cornerstone and W3C DID as the specification, BSN DID services achieve decentralized on-chain mapping of real entity, thus achieving the ability to provide digital identity and digital credential interaction for individuals or organizations. In this diagram, you can find there are 3 roles in BSN DID service: user, issuer, and verifier. The user role means any individual, organization, or entity that has a digital identity on the chain. So any entity object can create and manage its DID through the developer's project. And issuer, the individual organization that can issue the digital credentials. For example, if a university can issue a digital diploma to a student, then the university is an issuer. And about the verifier, also known as a business party, is an individual or organization that uses digital credentials. After being authorized by the user, the verifier can verify the identity of the user or their digital credentials. For example, when a company hires someone, it needs to verify his college diploma. Then the company is a verifier. There are 3 components in the DID system: SDK, service, and smart contract. The SDK can be integrated in the developer's project. Service handles the business logic and connects the private data storage area, which is the identity hub, to the chain node. The smart contract is deployed on the chain, and the methods in the contract is called by the service. To use the BSN DID service, there are 2 ways. One way is to use the HTTP API provided by the BSN, and the other one is by using the Java SDK developed by the BSN. You can find the detail and download the SDK from the URL shown, and you can scan the QR code to access the URL directly. In the demonstration section, there are several parts. First, I will briefly explain to you the demo material so that you can download the material and follow the demo along. Then, I will try to use the demo material to create a DID, and then we'll use that DID to register as an issuer. After being an issuer, then I will create a credential template so that I can use that template to issue a credential. And after that, I will try to use another DID to verify the issued credential. You can download the reference material by accessing the URL shown on screen, or you can scan the QR code to access the link to download the material. After downloading the demo material file, which is a zip file, after unzipping it, there are 3 files inside: one JSON file, one README file, and one JAR file, which is a compiled Java file. You can run the demo environment later. And for the JSON file, which is a Postman collection file, you can import this JSON file by using Postman so that you can have the full set of HTTP API collections of the BSN DID service. As you can see, there are 4 collections. One is DID API, another is Issuer API, Credential API, and the last one is the Identity Hub API. In this demo, we are going to use DID, Issuer, and Credential related APIs. For the Identity Hubs API, you can explore and check more detail on the bsnbase.io. After you open the README file, there are some information inside. You can check the user manual URL, the GitHub URL about the Java SDK, and our bsnbase.io, the internet portal. Also, in the middle part, you can see there's a command to run the JAR file so that you can run the demo environment to follow this demo along. Okay, so let's run the demo environment by following the command shown in the README file. To run this JAR file, please make sure you have installed Java in your computer. After the JAR file is up and running, you can access the demo environment by using the URL shown on screen. You can check the left navigation menu. There are 4 sections: DID, Issuer, Credential, and Hub. Each section refers to the designated sections of the API. Now I start to create an DID by using the BSN DID service. There are 2 options: on-chain and off-chain. On-chain means that to create an DID that will stored on the blockchain provided by BSN. The off-chain is generally just simply generate a DID, but that DID is not stored on the blockchain. But now I'll try to create one on-chain first. Let's save the response first. We will use it later. After creating the DID, let's query the DID for double check. After the first DID, let's create the second DID so that we can use the first one to be the issuer and the second one to be a user, which we will use them later when we're creating the credential. A quick reminder is that after creating the DID, please keep the information safe by yourself, like the DID, the private key, the public key, In here, the private key and the public key generated by the BSN DID service is in decimal. We are using the encryption method is NCCP256K1. After running the demo environment, you can check the console here. Every action being triggered in the demo environment will fire an API. You can see the API verbals here. You can check the request body and the response, so that you can refer the API to the API collections, which we just import to the Postman collection. Then you can familiarize yourself about what API, with what purpose. Let's register the first created DID to be an issuer. We will use the DID string and the private key quite frequently. Meanwhile, when you are doing some query, there's two parameters need you to input. One is page and one is size. For page and size parameters, you need to input the numeric value which is greater than 1. Okay, now we have an issuer. Then we need to issue some credential. So we need the credential template for us to issue the credential. Well, what is a credential template? You can treat a credential template as a format or a standard specification of an entity. Every credential generated by using the credential template will have the same structure. We'll use that same structure for issuing the credential and do the credential verification. In this case, I tried to create a credential template. That template is used for issuing some license. So you can see I'm changing the additional property to the license name, license number, and the license expiration date, so that when we're issuing any credentials, we can define the value of these three fields. We now create a credential template. Please save the template ID so that we can use the template ID to issue credentials for other users. You can query the credential template by using the template ID or using the issuer DID string to query. Okay, so we now have an issuer who issued a credential template, and then now we are using the template to issue credentials to a specific user. Remember that we created two DID. The first one we use for register as an issuer, and then the second one, now we are going to use it as a user DID. So for all the user DID field in this request body, we are going to fill the second DID string into that field. When we're issuing the credential, from the credential template, we have several fields. We defined license number, license name, and the license expiration date. So now we can fill in the customized value dedicated for the users we are going to issue, so that we can create some unique certificate that belongs to the user. And we need the exact same information for verification. Okay, we have successfully created a credential to the user from the issuer. So now let's try to verify it. The verification of the credential is quite simple. Actually, you just need to fill in all the information as same as the response from while you're creating the credential. Then you can verify whether this is a valid credential on the DID service. You can see that if there's just simply one value is not matched, the verification will fail. And last but not least, for the Identity Hub, you can treat this hub as a storage for the credential. So every credential created by the BSN DID service can be stored on the hub, so that you can create and grant the permission to others to access the credentials. You can create resources, get resources, and grant, update, or revoke the permissions for any DID users on the BSN DID service. For more detail, you can check it on bsnbase.io. Thanks for watching. If you have any inquiry, please feel free to contact us by the email address inquiry@reddatech.com. Thank you. See you next time.